Every month, millions of Americans over 65 receive a Social Security deposit and assume that number is fixed, that it was set when they filed, that it cannot go up except for the annual cost of living adjustment. That assumption is costing them hundreds of dollars a month. The Social Security Administration has specific forms, specific processes, and specific strategies that can permanently increase a monthly benefit, even for people who are already collecting. But the SSA will never call you to explain them. They will never mail you an application. And in most cases, the window to act is time-sensitive. Today, I'm walking through all 5. Every form has a name. Every strategy has a process. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to file, what to say, and what to do this week. My name is Lucian Vane. I've spent years studying the Social Security system, specifically the claiming strategies, correction processes, and lesser-known filing options that most people only discover years after they needed them. Here is the truth about Social Security that most financial content never says clearly. The SSA pays you what you ask for. If you file incorrectly, if you claim at the wrong time, if you miss a correction opportunity, the system does not flag it for you. It does not send you a notice saying you could be getting more. It just keeps paying you the lower amount. These 5 strategies exist. They are legal. They are underused. And for many people watching this, at least one of them applies to their situation right now. Let's go through all 5. Form number 1 is the one that gives seniors what almost no financial decision ever offers: a do-over. It is called the Request for Withdrawal of Application, and its form number is SSA-521. And what it does is allow you to completely undo your Social Security filing decision, as if you never filed at all. Here is how it works and why it matters. If you filed for Social Security, say at age 62, and received a permanently reduced benefit and you now realize that was a mistake, the SSA 521 gives you a specific window to undo that decision completely. You withdraw your application. You repay every dollar of benefits you received, and then you are treated as if you never filed. You can refile later, at a higher age, and receive the higher benefit that corresponds to that later age. Let me make that concrete. A person files at 62 and receives a monthly benefit of $1,400, which is permanently reduced from their full retirement age benefit of $2,000. After 2 years of collecting, they receive an inheritance, go back to work part-time, or simply realize the reduction is going to cost them over the long run. They file SSA 521. They repay the $33,600 they received over those 2 years. Their application is withdrawn. They wait until age 67, their full retirement age, and refile at $2,000 a month. The difference is $600 a month. Over 20 years of retirement, that's $144,000. Now here's the critical rule you must know. The SSA 521 withdrawal can only be done within 12 months of your original filing date. After 12 months, this option is permanently closed. This means if you filed for Social Security in the last 12 months, and you are having second thoughts, you need to act now, not next month, this week. There is a second version of this strategy that does not have the 12-month limit, and this one is available to anyone who has reached full retirement age but has not yet reached age 70. It is called voluntary suspension. Once you reach full retirement age, you can ask the SSA to voluntarily suspend your benefits. You stop receiving payments. And for every month your benefits are suspended, your benefit amount grows by approximately 2/3%, which translates to 8% per year. If you reached full retirement age at 67 and you voluntarily suspend until 70, your benefit grows by 24%, permanently. A $2,000 benefit at 67 becomes $2,480 at 70. For someone who lives to 85, that's an additional $43,200 over their lifetime, for simply asking the SSA to pause payments for 3 years. Action step. If you filed within the last 12 months and you're having regrets, call SSA immediately and ask for the SSA 521 withdrawal form. If you've reached full retirement age and haven't yet hit 70, ask SSA about voluntary suspension. Form number 2 is the one that catches the most people by surprise, because it reveals that the number the Social Security Administration is using to calculate your benefit may simply be wrong. The form is called the Request for Correction of Earnings Record, and its form number is SSA-7008. And before I explain what it does, I want you to do something. Go to ssa.gov, create or log into your My Social Security account and pull up your earnings record. You will see a list of every year you worked and the earnings the SSA has on file for you. Now look at it carefully, because the SSA's record of your earnings is only as accurate as the information that was reported to them, and there are 4 common ways that record is wrong: silently, invisibly, and at a cost to your monthly check that compounds over your entire retirement. Error 1. Your employer reported your earnings under the wrong Social Security number. This happens more often than you'd think. A transposed digit, a data entry error, and those earnings get credited to someone else's record instead of yours. Error 2. If you changed your name through marriage, divorce, or any other reason, and your name wasn't properly updated with the SSA, your earnings records may be split. Some years credited to your old name, some to your new name. The SSA may only be calculating your benefit on half your actual career. Error 3. Self-employment income. If you were self-employed at any point and your Schedule SE wasn't filed correctly, or if a tax preparer made an error, those earnings may be missing from your record entirely. Error 4. Early career earnings, particularly jobs before 1978 when records were paper-based, are frequently missing, misrecorded, or attributed to the wrong person. If you worked in your teens or 20s and those years are blank on your earnings record, that's money the SSA is not counting. Here is why this matters so much. Your Social Security benefit is calculated based on your highest 35 years of earnings. Every year that should be in your record but isn't gets replaced by a 0 in that calculation. And a 0 in your top 35 years permanently reduces your monthly benefit. If you find a discrepancy, a year where the SSA has 0 earnings but you know you worked, here is what you do. Gather your proof. W-2 forms from that year, tax returns, pay stubs. If you don't have those, you can request transcripts from the IRS going back many years. Then file SSA 7008, the Request for Correction of Earnings Record, along with your documentation. The SSA will investigate and correct the record if your documentation supports it. And once corrected, your benefit is recalculated, going forward, at the higher amount that reflects your actual earnings history. There is no deadline on this form. You can file it before you claim, after you claim, or at any point you discover an error. But every month you wait with an error in your record is another month you receive a lower check than you're owed. Action step. Log into ssa.gov this week. Pull up your earnings record. Go through it year by year. If any year is missing or wrong, gather your W-2s or IRS transcripts and file SSA 7008. Form number 3 is the one that applies to a specific group, but for that group it can be the single biggest increase on this entire list. If you are divorced, you may be entitled to collect Social Security based on your ex-spouse's earnings record and receive significantly more than you would on your own record, without your ex knowing, without their cooperation, and without affecting their benefit at all. Here are the eligibility rules, stated clearly. Your marriage must have lasted at least 10 years. You must currently be unmarried. You must be at least 62 years old, and your ex-spouse must be at least 62. Though they do not need to have filed for their own benefits yet, as long as you have been divorced for at least 2 years. If you meet those criteria, you can receive up to 50% of your ex-spouse's full retirement age benefit. And the SSA compares that amount to your own benefit and pays you whichever is higher. Let me give you a real example of how big this can be. A woman worked part-time for most of her career raising children. Her own Social Security benefit based on her work record is $750 a month. Her ex-husband, who worked a full career in a professional field, has a full retirement age benefit of $3,200 a month. 50% of $3,200 is $1,600. The SSA would pay her $1,600 a month, more than double her own benefit, based entirely on her ex-husband's record. He never knows. His benefit is completely unaffected. She simply had to know this option existed and file the right form. Now here is the timing piece that matters, and where most people make an expensive mistake. If you claim the divorced spouse benefit before your full retirement age, it is permanently reduced, just like any other early claim. A divorced spouse who claims at 62 instead of waiting until full retirement age at 67 can receive as little as 32.5% of the ex-spouse's benefit instead of the full 50%. For someone whose ex-spouse has a $3,200 benefit, the difference between claiming at 62 versus waiting until full retirement age is $560 a month, permanently. Over 20 years, that's $134,400. There is one more piece of the divorced spouse benefit that most people never ask about, and that's what happens if the ex-spouse passes away. If your ex-spouse dies and you were married to them for at least 10 years and you are currently unmarried, you may be eligible for a divorced survivor benefit. Instead of 50% of their benefit, you can receive up to 100% of what they were receiving at the time of their death. This is the provision that most divorced seniors never know exists until years after they needed it. And by then, they've already been collecting their own smaller benefit for years, without ever asking whether the divorced survivor benefit would be higher. Action step. If you are divorced after a marriage of 10 or more years, call SSA and ask specifically, am I eligible for a divorced spouse benefit based on my ex-spouse's record? And how does it compare to my own benefit? Give them your ex-spouse's name and social security number if you have it. If you don't have the SSN, they can often look it up with the name and date of birth. Form number 4 is not a single form. It is a claiming strategy that involves specific timing decisions, and it is the one with the most money at stake for the most people on this entire list. It is called the Delayed Retirement Credit. And here is the core of it. For every month you delay claiming Social Security past your full retirement age, up until age 70, your benefit permanently increases by approximately 2/3%, which works out to 8% per year. That 8% is not a market return. It is not dependent on the stock market, interest rates, or economic conditions. It is a guaranteed permanent increase written into the Social Security law. Let me show you what that means in real numbers. A person whose full retirement age benefit at 67 is $2,000 a month. If they delay until 70, just 3 more years, their benefit grows by 24%. $2,000 becomes $2,480 every month for the rest of their life, $480 more every month, $5,760 more every year. Over a 20-year retirement, that's $115,200 more in lifetime income, from a decision made at 67 to wait 3 more years. Now here is where it gets more powerful, and where most people don't think it through fully. The survivor benefit is based on the deceased spouse's benefit amount, which means if the higher-earning spouse delays to 70 and achieves that maximum benefit, and then passes away, the surviving spouse inherits that higher amount as their survivor benefit. A couple where the higher earner delays to 70 and achieves a $2,480 benefit, versus claiming at 67 for $2,000, gives the surviving spouse a $480 higher monthly income for the rest of their life, if the higher earner passes first. That is one of the most powerful financial protections a married person can give their spouse, and it costs nothing except patience. Now this is where people get stuck, and where I want to address the most common objection clearly. The most common reason people don't delay is fear that they won't live long enough to break even, and that is a legitimate concern worth calculating. Here's the math. If your benefit at 67 is $2,000 and at 70 is $2,480, the break-even point is roughly age 82 to 83. If you live past 83, you come out ahead by delaying. If you don't, you would have done better claiming earlier. The average American who reaches age 65 lives to approximately age 85, which means for the average person, delaying to 70 is mathematically favorable. But here's the piece beyond the math, the survivor protection. Even if you personally don't make it to the break-even age, your surviving spouse may live another 10 or 15 years on the higher amount. The delayed retirement credit decision is not just about you. It is a joint financial decision for both spouses' lifetimes. Action step. If you have not yet reached age 70 and you are currently collecting Social Security, calculate your break-even age and your spouse's survivor benefit impact. If you have not yet filed, seriously consider whether delaying, even partially, makes sense for your household. If you need help running the numbers, your local area agency on aging can connect you with a free benefits counselor who specializes in Social Security optimization. Form number 5 is the one that applies to widows and widowers, and it is the form that, more than any other on this list, blindsides people at the worst possible moment. When a spouse passes away, the surviving spouse is entitled to switch from their own Social Security benefit to a survivor benefit, which can be up to 100% of what the deceased spouse was receiving. But here is what the SSA will almost never proactively tell you: this switch does not happen automatically. The surviving spouse continues to receive their own benefit, which may be hundreds of dollars less per month, until they specifically request the switch to survivor benefits. And in many cases, people go years without knowing the switch was available. Let me give you a real example. A woman has been collecting her own Social Security benefit of $1,100 a month. Her husband, who had a longer career and higher earnings, was collecting $2,400 a month before he passed away. As his surviving spouse, she is entitled to switch to his $2,400 benefit, more than double her own. But the SSA continues paying her $1,100 until she calls and requests the switch. If she goes 2 years without knowing, that's $31,200 she received instead of $57,600, a difference of $26,400 that she can never recover. Now here are the specific rules you need to know about survivor benefits. The surviving spouse must be at least 60 years old to claim survivor benefits, or 50 if they are disabled. There is no 10-year marriage requirement for survivor benefits. Any legal marriage qualifies. Here is the timing strategy that most people miss, and it can be worth a significant amount of money. If you are a surviving spouse who is not yet at full retirement age, you have 2 options: claim the survivor benefit now at a reduced amount, or wait until full retirement age to claim the full 100%. But here is the strategy. Unlike regular retirement benefits, survivor benefits and your own retirement benefit can be claimed independently, in sequence. You can claim one first and switch to the other later. For example, if a widow's own benefit will be higher than the survivor benefit at full retirement age, perhaps because she had a strong career, she can claim the reduced survivor benefit now for income, let her own benefit grow with delayed retirement credits until 70, then switch to her own higher benefit at 70. Or if the survivor benefit is the higher amount, she can claim her own reduced benefit now and switch to the full survivor benefit at her full retirement age. The key is knowing both amounts and making the strategic choice, not just defaulting to whatever the SSA processes first. Action step. If you are a widow or widower and you are currently collecting your own Social Security benefit, call SSA this week and ask, what would my survivor benefit be based on my late spouse's record, and how does that compare to my current benefit? If the survivor benefit is higher, request the switch immediately. If there is a strategic reason to sequence the claims, the SSA can walk you through it. Every single strategy on this list, the SSA 521 withdrawal, the earnings record correction, the divorced spouse benefit, the delayed retirement credit, and the survivor benefit switch, starts with the same first step. You call the Social Security Administration at 1-800-772-1213. But here is how to make that call productive. Because the SSA handles millions of calls, and the representative who answers may not volunteer information about every option available to you. You need to ask specific questions, not, "Is there anything I'm missing?" because the answer will almost always be no, but specific, named questions. Am I eligible to file SSA 521 to withdraw my application? Can I see my full earnings record, and is there a process to correct any errors? Am I eligible for a divorced spouse benefit based on my ex-spouse's record? What would my benefit be if I voluntarily suspend at full retirement age and restart at 70? What is the survivor benefit available to me based on my late spouse's record? Write those questions down before you call. Ask each one, take notes, and if the representative says no to something you believe you qualify for, ask to speak with a supervisor or call back and speak with someone else. SSA representatives are not infallible and second opinions matter. Here is your complete action list. 1. SSA 521. If you filed for Social Security in the last 12 months and you have regrets about the timing, call SSA today. The 12-month window is real and it closes fast. 2. SSA 7008. Log into ssa.gov this week and pull up your full earnings record. Go through it year by year. If anything is missing or wrong, gather your W-2s or IRS transcripts and file SSA 7008. 3. Divorced spouse benefit. If you were married for 10 or more years and you're currently divorced and unmarried, call SSA and ask specifically about divorced spouse eligibility. Give them your ex's name and date of birth. 4. Delayed retirement credit. If you have not yet filed for Social Security, run the break-even calculation for your age and health situation. If you are already collecting and haven't reached 70, ask SSA about voluntary suspension. 5. Survivor benefit switch. If you are a widow or widower and you are currently collecting your own benefit, call SSA this week and ask what your survivor benefit would be. If it's higher, make the switch immediately. The Social Security system is complicated by design. It has more rules, more forms, and more filing strategies than any single government program should. And the people who get the most out of it are not the ones who accept the first number they're given. They are the ones who ask the right questions. Now you know what questions to ask. If this video helped you, subscribe. I cover Social Security, Medicare, and senior financial rights every week. The strategies and protections most people only find out about years after they needed them. Share this with every retiree you know who filed for Social Security without running these 5 checks first. One of them could be leaving hundreds of dollars a month on the table right now. I'll see you in the next one.